Welcome to Healthy Empowered Women's live chats. These are every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Perth time. And I am your host, Melissa Wilkes. I'm a nutrition and mindset coach, gluten-free specialist, and I also am a retreats facilitator. Although that's getting a little bit tough this year, so it's going to be interesting. I've been doing that for 6 years and I'm hoping I get to keep doing it. I'm super passionate about helping women to become healthier versions of themselves by learning all that we can in our lifetime to really improve ourselves, which is why I called my business name Improve Yourself. And I'm really, really excited about tonight's session. I met Lynette last year. She came and did an in-person Healthy Empowered Women session. We called them Women's Health Sessions last year. And she's going to be coming and joining us again this year in our in-person one. And I thought I need to get her on here live again as well, because I just absolutely love chatting with her. And just wanted to let you know a little bit more about Lynette Channel. She's also an author, a certified coach, hypnotherapist, NLP practitioner, and mentors others to heal, flourish, and grow. Her passions and areas of expertise are trauma recovery, integrative process work, and evolutionary spiritual growth work. She works with clients one-on-one and face-to-face and via Zoom. Lynette works with people to grow and evolve through and beyond their struggles and problematic life circumstances, which I find mind-blowing. What I admire the most about chatting with Lynette is her self-awareness and her eagerness to help others. And there's pretty much nothing she won't talk about that I have found yet. And a lot of people, I think, are walking around with masks on and quite guarded, and I don't find that with Lynette. So I think tonight's going to be quite an exciting, great topic. And before I go any further, I have to get you to answer my question. I know I've asked you before, but I'm asking you again, what's your favourite food?
At the moment, it's pawpaw.
Pawpaw? Yes.
Fruit. I just have this thing with fruit at the moment. So
yeah. It's just perfect.
Bananas, and I've discovered cold bananas. I've never put my bananas in the fridge. I always eat them warm, or room temperature.
Yeah.
But they're so different that it's for me. It's like, because I don't eat lollies or sweets, things like that.
Yep, same.
Cold banana.
Yeah. I'm going to try it tomorrow. You've got me on it. I know that they can go a bit browner in the fridge, so
they do.
That's why
it changes like just underneath the skin.
Yeah.
The very outer layers of the banana also go that bit brown.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because the sugar in the banana actually increases.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good thing, but
yeah, yum. I'm going to try that tomorrow. I'm just checking if there's any more comments. So listen up, ladies. What I am going to suggest is you've got an amazing opportunity to be able to ask lots of questions from Lynette tonight. So if at any point there's anything that you want to ask, pop it in the chat in comment below, and I'm going to keep looking over there and checking, and I'll just let Lynette know if you guys have any questions. So I think also because of tonight's topic, which is what does it take to become a self-determined person, I think we can go in so many different ways. We're going to have to try and stay on the straight and narrow here. But I'm excited about where we're going to go with this, and I'll give you the floor. What is it that made you choose this topic? What was your reasoning for feeling like this is something that we need to be talking about right now?
Well, just have a look at the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Really, I think that's where we are, evolutionary wise. But if nothing else, the last 2 years has had many, many people start to really question reality and question themselves, question beliefs. Even aside from that, can you hear me okay, by the way?
Yeah, it's not really loud, but I can hear. If anyone can't hear, please pop in the comments and we'll see what we can do, but we'll just keep going.
Yeah. even before the advent of the situation that we're all experiencing globally, it's been my primary understanding and my primary knowing, I suppose, really coming out of my own experience, that that's what we're all here for in the first place, is that evolutionary process, our becoming, our own becoming. In the spiritual communities, in the New Age movement, personal development, it's really talked about a lot at the moment, that we are all one, and we are. Quantum physics bears that out. But there's more to it than being one. While, yes, we are collectively one, and when you break matter down, there's nothing but space. Like it's almost like everything just bleeds into itself. But there's a purpose for having this physicality, for being here, and learning how to navigate form, the material world. One of the things that I believe is that we are here to self-actualize, to individuate, to become a self-determined person, to learn about our relationship to power, to learn about our relationship to creativity. And we do that through trial and error.
Yeah.
So a lot of us get very moved and upset, angry over things that go on out there in the world. And you look at human history, and we've made some big messes. We've made poor decisions. Not all of us, but when you look out on the landscape, it's messy. So
yeah,
rather than looking out fair, it's also looking in here and looking in our own individual life. You know, what we're doing, how we're being, what we're creating.
Yeah.
Consequences of that.
Yeah, it's funny you should say that, because when people used to say to me, you need to do the inner work, you need to do work on yourself, you need to, you know, go within, I didn't really get it. Like,
oh, what does that even mean? They're all cliches.
I thought I knew what it meant until I actually did it. I thought I was living that way. I thought I knew how to work within. I thought I knew how to turn inwards, and all the different words and terminologies everybody uses. I thought I was really, you know, there. And I think it's only been the last few years that I've really grasped it. And I think we go through life experiences and start, you know, and forget to be turning back within, and we get caught up in all that, you know, like you said, the material world, and then something happens and bang, you have to go on back and do the work within. And yeah, so that's interesting. And I teach my clients that too. I think
it's
we're
funny
so
how
busy
that
looking
happens.
outwards.
It's funny how that happens, because, well, not funny, everything has got a purpose.
Yeah.
All of this is purposeful. But, you know, when we come in oceanic. There's no sense of self. Like, we're just everything. We're just swimming in that everything. When you get here and you start you experience touch, you experience sensation, and that can be from pleasure to pain. You learn about your parents, or particularly your mother, your relationship to your mother. There's those developmental stages where you individuate, and then you become self-aware. You become an I, but that doesn't happen all by itself. It happens in relationship with the physical world. You learn, you differentiate yourself out through experience, through touch, through visual. So we become externalized. The world actually externalizes us, separates us out, and the belief systems, the conditioning, the education system, depending on what kind of family you're raised in, it all goes towards fashioning your identity and your sense of self. And that happens. It's a funny thing, isn't it? Why do we have to go through this? That we come in, we become externalized, and we're attached to everything out here, and that's all we know. And then later you get down the track, and then everybody around you is telling you to get back in there. It's like you've got to do the reverse then.
Yeah, relearn.
And relearn, yes, but what is it we're relearning? There's more to this than I think that we really understand. There's more mystery to it than what it is that we actually think we know. So yeah, it's very interesting that.
Yeah, and I think it's hard when we know that we're, I guess, lost, or we're feeling detached from self or from the rest of the world, and not really knowing the tools or how to do that work to connect with self again, and figure out who we are, and what our purpose is, and what our values are, and what we want to be doing on a daily basis. I think it's you can kind of go through quite a hard time there. I remember it years ago feeling super stuck. That was the word that I would use all the time. I feel stuck, and everyone I would go to and ask for help, I'd be like, I'm stuck. And it was, no one really helped me. I had to figure it all out myself.
Yeah.
I felt like I learned some tools along the way, but I think that we want things to be quickly as well. And so when we're wanting to be able to, I guess, connect within, and it doesn't happen, we can kind of give up maybe, and not try to keep going.
Just imagine this. If this was a game that we were in, it was some kind of game.
Well, it bloody feels like it.
Well, in one way, it kind of is. But if it was a game, if you were sitting in front of your computer and you downloaded a game and you wanted to learn how to play this game, and somebody handed you a cheat sheet, and you just moseyed on through to the end, and got it done, what would you have actually learned?
Yeah.
If somebody we come here, we're having this incredibly mysterious experience, because a lot of people think they know what's actually going on here, but in large part we really don't. We don't even know how we work. We're still learning more about the body and how the brain works. It's, if you arrive here and somebody just gives you an instruction manual and says, this is how everything works, you're just going to follow that manual. You're not going to learn anything. So while it's hard, and it is hard, this is how we grow. This is how we learn. This is how we evolve. But so much of the false construction about the way that the world works, we get taught through our rigid belief systems that we absorb, that we're indoctrinated by, that we're programmed with. They virtually get given to us after we arrive. We come into a pre-designed world. And if you were born 500 years ago and you came into that time, the being in the body that you are, because we're more than just this, would then have to just adapt to that period, to that time, to those rules, to those. We're malleable, we're moldable, we're shapeable. we've come into this time, you and I and people listening, this is where we are now, and we've adapted and taken on those rules, these belief systems. We get it right from the day we start being able to understand, learn language, and to be able to hear things. We're assimilating the whole time. So when you're talking about becoming a self-determined person, that's the path of spiritual maturity. That's the part of growing into real maturation. I think that's the right way to say it. That's when you start to delineate yourself and define yourself out from everybody all being thrown in together, and we're all having to believe this particular thing, behave in this particular way. And I think that's also going back to your first question about why this topic and why now. That would be one of the reasons why. It's the individuation process, the becoming a self-determined person in your own right means pulling out from all being in together, following the herd, because we can all do that and never discover parts of ourselves that have either remained dormant, that have not had a chance to develop, that we've had to suppress. It's not an easy path, but having the courage to do it and being willing to engage in that process, that's where the growth is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. So with my clients, I teach them about connecting to their body so they can hear what their body needs to fuel them and to survive and to feel the best they can throughout the day. And I know you teach your clients how to connect with the body as well, but it's kind of on a bit of a different level. So did you want to share a little bit about that? How you get people to connect with their body? And
the way that I do it is really just about sitting and listening with yourself. Part of that externalization process, it literally takes us out. It pulls us out, it draws us out, and we lose connection to the being that we are. And we don't develop the skills to really understand what is actually going on in our body, what we're feeling, our connection to our knowing, to our intuition, to being able to hear, you know, that still small voice. We don't get a chance to develop it. When you think about kids in every country around the world, and particularly in Western culture, the school system. You go into the school system and you're learning what they want you to learn. There is a particular set of belief systems that you have to take on. Your understanding of the world, you have to take it on from them. And history, you have to take it on from them. There's so much we don't know. We don't know about our own brains, how our brains work. We don't know how our heart actually works properly. There's more research about that now, especially with the Heart Math Institute. So we know now that the heart is actually the frequency of the heart extends far beyond that of the brain. The field is incredible. Its ability to be able to tap into the energy around you and be able to read it at a distance. I mean, we just don't realize how incredible we are, the gifts that we have, because when we're not put in that direction, we're not told that about ourselves. We're externalized. It's almost like, don't look there, look over here. Know this, but don't know this. So part of the work in becoming a self-determined person is to get back to the body, not just in that you can feel it, and not just in what you feed it, but in getting to know the energy of it, the nuances, the feelings, the sensations. But also part of the work, I do everything through the body, everything, because it's all here. And when you think about mind, the mind doesn't just exist in the brain. You know, back in the day, they used to think the mind was just in the brain, or the brain was the mind. But we know that that's not true. The whole body, all of your cells, the entirety of your energy field, it's all mind, and it all stores information.
As a memory.
Yeah. So it's learning to listen. I remember a while back when I was having a session with a practitioner, and because I had a lot of abuse in my childhood, I left my body. I vacated, because I used to disassociate. I mentioned that in our last
live you did, chat more about,
So when you actually leave the body, you don't always, all of you, come back in. There's other aspects of you that might hang out somewhere else, because, you know, there's beliefs about it not being safe, or whatever it is, you haven't done the work to bring it back in. And when I was on the table being the client, my practitioner said to me, whereabouts do you feel energy in your body? And I didn't realize I couldn't connect to my legs, because it was the strangest sensation. We don't think, nobody teaches us about this, that our bodies are actually our best friends. They have all the information, and this is where we need to go to retrieve it. I wasn't all in. I couldn't feel. And when you do this sort of stuff with your eyes closed, because you don't want to be connected to anything outside of you. You want to learn to listen to the inside of you. So that you, depending on if you're visual, kinesthetic, however you experience yourself. For me, when I tried to get a visual imprint or representation of my legs, it was just black.
Wow.
And I realized, oh my God, I'm not in my legs. So then the work is, okay, what's actually going on in my legs? What's going on in my feet? Why am I not able to be present in this part of my body? And for me, the answer was, when I was a kid, one of the things that my dad used to do is take to me with a belt, and it would be my legs, the back of my legs.
Right.
So it's just an example of the experiences that you have with sensation, with belonging in your own body, will impact on, you know, sensation, feel.
Do you think that disconnection is also a way that our mind, our body, tries to protect itself?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You don't want to stay like that for the rest of your life, though, do you?
Yeah, no.
So, yeah, that's what happens. we're ingenious. We do everything that we can to be alive, because that's the mandate of life. Mandate of life is powerful, and that instinct for survival, to stay alive.
What the body can do is amazing.
What the body can do is amazing. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Ladies, you're welcome to pop any questions in the comments. Is there a tool or a technique you can give to the women more about, I guess, connecting within, or being more aware of the body?
Yeah. What I do, and what I still do, if I feel that there is something stuck, that there is something rising, I've learned now to know when that's happening, and that takes time, and it takes practice of listening. I will go and put myself on my bed. So you can go and lie down on your bed, you can lie down on your lounge room floor, you can lie on your couch. I find that it works best for me if I'm actually lying down, if I'm off my feet. That's why I use a table, you know, a massage table.
Yeah.
With clients, if you're off your feet, there's more of a letting go. There's more of a surrender. You just feel that sensation. Whereas if you're still sitting up, while we can have a feeling of being guarded and a bit tight when we're on the table, there's still this feeling of, I guess it's vulnerability. Or you want to have a feeling of trust with the people that you work, or person that you're working with. But lying down generally works best, I find, and just closing your eyes and just learning to feel. You imagine that you've got, we've got our ears, and our ears are constructed so that we pick up external sound and we process it, and that's our hearing. We've got to learn to turn our hearing towards ourselves. Like I said before, we learn it to be so externalized. We've got to actually turn to it and listen. And you might not hear anything. You might find it actually really difficult to listen to yourself. Well, I hear nothing. I've had clients say, I can't hear anything. Okay, well, that's a level of disconnection right there, that you're not, because that kind of hearing is about perceiving. When you actually really get practiced at it, it's almost like you can actually hear silence. It's got a sound. There's a purity to it, a clarity to it. But it's also learning to listen to sensation in your body. Start with your feet. You can start with your feet and put your awareness, your actual awareness. Imagine that you are actually in your toes. Go there, put your attention there, and just learn. I can do it now, just sitting here. You can feel your skin. You can feel the temperature in the room on your skin. You can imagine traveling around your toes, traveling around your ankles, on the inside. You might not be able to see anything. A lot of people can't. Some people are very, very visual. If you don't get a visual impression, then just feel for the sensation, listen for the sensation. Just getting comfortable with being present to your own body can be quite challenging for people, especially when there's trauma associated with being actually present to your body.
I definitely struggled with it many years ago.
Yeah.
And really, I just found it so hard.
Yeah.
And I know that it was a long time before each time I tried again, any kind of connection to my body. And it was a slow process, very frustrating as well. We actually have a couple of questions.
Yeah.
So if you don't mind me interrupting.
No.
So Gail has asked, how would you stop mind chatter?
That's a really hard one. Well, or is that just a belief? Mind chatter, everybody has. And it's not like you can get rid of it. The mind does really ridiculous things. Our issue is that we are so identified with the mind that we think the mind is who we are. So first of all, we've got to realize that the mind as actually is not who we are. It's just an annoyance half the time because it does its own thing. It really does do its own thing. So just making that delineation, well, if I'm not my mind, then who am I? If I'm not my mind, who am I? And start to create a little bit of space between the mind and that question. Not my mind, who am I? And so who is it that's actually hearing my mind make all of that chatter? What the mind will do when you're trying to meditate will be to come in and distract you.
Yeah.
It will come in to pull you away. It's absolutely off the charts ridiculous, the sorts of things that you'll think about when you go to sit down to meditate that you wouldn't have thought about if you hadn't have sat down to meditate.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Yeah.
So that can be part of the practice, even if you're only sitting for 1 minute.
Yeah, I was going to say, and practice being the key word, right?
It is.
I think it's
too many people give up straight away.
Yeah.
I know I can't do it, it's too hard.
But it's like a muscle, a new muscle you have to like create, you have to build that muscle and you get stronger as you do it. And I think that it goes with the mind chatter as well. The more you do things like that tool you said about lying on the bed and really feeling into your body, and doing that more and more, and other things that you can do, you can get to that point where you can
absolutely
be able to have a bit more, I don't know if the word's control, but more awareness about it and understanding of what's really going on and what's sort of behind that. Yeah.
One of the reasons I think why most people don't like, we all want quick fixes. We all want quick fixes. We do. I always wanted quick fixes and I'd get really frustrated. And, you know, you come to learn that there are no quick fixes, and I wish there were. I'd be, you know, if somebody had quick fixes in a bottle, you would make an absolute killing. You'd be the wealthiest person on the planet.
Well, that's why the diet and fitness industry is, because it's like, here's your little shake or here's your pills, and here you go. It's all gonna be fixed for you.
I think that one of the hard parts for people about, you know, actually really becoming committed to spending that time with their own body and actually listening inside is because they're afraid of what is going to come up. I don't want to feel what they've been burying for a really long time, and we've all got truckloads of buried stuff. So
I feel like it feels just as uncomfortable to not deal with it as it does to deal with it.
Well, that's why we manifest things like cancer, you know, depression, anxiety, skin disorders. It's not just about diet. Yeah, diet is absolutely important. We need good nutrition. It's ridiculous, stupid. It doesn't make any sense to feed our beautiful bodies with loads of junk.
Yeah.
But the other side of that, you've got to press stud that with doing your inner work, with your learning about your traumas, your wounding, befriending your emotions, with giving them permission to be there. Because while eating unhealthy makes us sick, stuffed emotions and toxic beliefs will also make us sick.
Yeah, 100%.
So,
yeah, you've got another question.
yep.
Actually, a couple of questions from Louise. So she's just asking, what if the answer doesn't come to you? Is that stuck fit? And then I don't know if it's another question, but she's also done a separate comment. Is that stuck feeling always from childhood? So what if the answer doesn't come to you, and is that stuck feeling always from childhood?
If the answer doesn't come to you, you've got to be able to, there's actually a couple of different parts to that. Sometimes when we're wanting to get an answer to something, there can be different reasons why we don't get it. One will be possibly because there's an aspect of us that does not want the answer. And it might be because you actually know what the answer is, but you don't want to hear
Yeah.
it.
I knew you were going to say that.
Oh, yeah, you know, and I've been guilty of that in the past.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't talk about anything that I haven't actually gone through. I didn't read this stuff in a book. This is, you know, life experience, hard way.
Yeah.
So sometimes we don't want to hear the answer.
Yeah.
You know, that relationship, you know, you shouldn't be in, and you will try and figure out what the answer is, and the answer just won't come, and you keep hitting a brick wall. It's because you know what the answer is, you don't want to hear it. So that's one. There's another aspect to it too, is also that the answer's not ready to come. And sometimes we're learning about surrender. Sometimes we're learning about letting go. So when you're trying to force an answer to something to come to you, and it just doesn't matter what you do, it's not coming.
Control.
The only thing you can do is let go. So this is a really interesting part about working with people, is that we're all different. So the answer, if I gave you a cut and dried answer to that, it's not going to work for anybody else who's listening, because we're all working through something different.
Yeah.
The answers are going to be different for each one of us. That's why mentorship or coaching or going to a practitioner or seeing a therapist or a counsellor who works in this way can be of real benefit to helping you figure out what's actually going on with you.
And we sometimes, well, not sometimes, I believe that we've thought a certain way for such a long time, we don't know how to think another way. And also, we don't know what we don't know. And having somebody there to sort of open our eyes to other things and our mindset, you know, to a different whole other thing, and being able to, I think, just having someone hold your hand to sort of get you down the right path is so important. And
you're absolutely right about the thinking. We get so rigid in thinking in a particular way. Yeah. And it's like there's only one lane on this highway.
Yeah.
So sometimes and because of that, we expect answers to come to us in a particular
in line with that way.
In line, yeah.
That was me.
And it might be completely different.
Yeah.
Like I've had profound answers come to me on billboards, you know, and you would never have thought that that's actually how life works. It is so interactive.
Yeah.
This thing that we're all doing here.
Yeah.
We don't learn. I mean, God, all of this stuff should be on the curriculum in school. They're not going to do that because, you know,
doesn't fit there.
that would make free thinking, independent, sovereign, self-actualized beings.
Yes.
So we're literally in a relationship with life, this dynamic threshing floor that we're all on, you know, that molds and shapes and reshapes. And if we're actually engaged in the relationship with life, we wouldn't fight with it so much. We would learn to listen to the lessons and be willing to be taught, instead of wanting to go our own way all the time.
Yeah.
It's a partnership.
Yeah. Louise said, synchronicity, a beautiful billboard, Lynn. So what
number plates too?
It's funny because my husband always says he doesn't believe in that stuff, and then me and my youngest son just show him constantly now, and he'll just like stop. And he turned around at Christmas and he said, how come it doesn't happen for me? And I'm like, because you're not looking. I said, start looking. And literally we play this game called golf, this card game, whenever we go up north. So we were playing and he just kept pulling threes all the time. And then every time he just had these set of threes. And then he started constantly, that whole like week after we'd had the conversation, there was number plates, and he was constantly pointing. And I said, see, when you're looking, it appears everywhere. And he was like, what does it mean? Work it out. Tell me what 333 means.
I was in a little bit of an unhappy relationship a while back, and we were heading off to the movies, and I wasn't in a very good mood. And this car pulled out in front of us and got right in front, and I just looked at the number plate and it said disengage. I just cracked up laughing. Yeah. And so I'm like, yeah, I know. Okay. So I did. Yeah. But yeah. And I just also wanted to say, just in answer to Louise's question too, sometimes if the answer's not coming, it's because you haven't built a strong enough connection or relationship with yourself yet. Yes. So don't give up. Keep going with it. Just be very gentle with yourself, because
not forced. Yes.
Not forced.
I remember when I was doing that and I was wondering why nothing was happening. Yeah. So I can relate.
Very important.
Yeah. What do you think self-determined means? Like, what does it really mean to be self-determined?
Right, I'm glad you asked me that question, because this is really important. Think about the self. When in everyday terms we talk about our self, there's the self with a capital S, and there is the small self with a small s. The way that I think about it is that the conditioned person, and we're all conditioned people until we learn to individuate and challenge the external, because everybody knows the word the Matrix and the movies and all of that. This really is a matrix. It's got to be the best word that they've put out there, or that we've come up with to explain that. So the small self is the conditioned self that participates, does what you're supposed to do, does what you're expected to do, follows the rules, goes along with the norms, assimilate. And
I would even say tries to fit in, like goes out of the way to so really loses its own identity.
That's it.
Yeah.
Exactly it. That's exactly it. And we are programmed and conditioned into that from the day we get here, basically. Especially when you start the school system, because that is all about raising you to be part of, to fit into that. When you're becoming a self-determined person, in the way that I'm talking about it, is that you do the work to reconnect to and pull down and embody, to bring into you, into the body and all the way down to your feet, the self with a capital S. So when you've become a self-determined person with a capital S, then you're living from that part of yourself, not the conditioned part, not the part of you that is learnt to do as you're told without question. And that is, I mean, it's on steroids out there. It's everywhere. This is the sort of stuff that's really challenging for people, because we've lived our whole lives going along, fitting in, not questioning. And some of us, you know, somewhere along the line, something might happen in life that might trigger you to think, hang on a minute. That can come from the outside, from life. It can also come from internally.
Yeah.
We can have that internal impulse that just nags and nags and nags, that wants us to go on a different journey.
Yeah.
We can ignore it and ignore it and continue to ignore it
until we get a face slap.
Yeah.
From the universe.
Yeah. So everybody kind of, and again, this could be equated with what people are talking about now, about waking up. It could be equated with that, the waking up process. I mean, these things get bandied around, these words or these they become cliches. But again, you've got to actually ask yourself, well, what does that even mean? What's involved in that?
Yeah.
This self-determination process, because we often find ourselves in lives that basically they've been chosen for us. And there's something magic inside every one of us, and that something else, that something other, rises at some point, because that has an ultimate mission or agenda or purpose or longing or something to experience, something to create, something to bring, something to give. And we can find ourselves in conflict or in a fight between the two, the conditioned self, but there's something else that wants to come through. There's, you know, so.
We've got a few comments here, so I'll read them out. But I just wanted to say the coach I had a few years ago, he sort of explained it to me like and was trying to teach about our inner essence and looking at the essence of our pure form, of what really is inside. And I think that it was weird, but when he said it, it was the biggest relief, because it was what I'd been searching for, like how to really understand, it's like we need to not label something, but just have a bit of better understanding when we first start thinking about these things, if we've never learned it before. And I was stuck in my trauma childhood, and that was playing such a big role in my life for so long, that the thought of having to go in, like you said, being too scared to go in deep, I went through all of that. And then over the years of doing the personal development, but with him it was about the essence, and I loved the way, I guess, he taught me.
Word.
Yeah.
I love that word. It's a beautiful word, and that's what it is for me. It is essence.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you're, when you first start going on this journey and you're learning something new, we need a framework. We need a framework. It's like anything else. You've got to have a framework to understand.
Yeah.
Because the mind is engaged in this, the intellect is engaged in it too. But once you get a handle on it, it's good to let go of the framework.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's good to let go of the words. And the what we call things.
Yeah. Yeah.
To be able to swim in that feeling of just essence, just being. So you can't get into it just like that. It takes work.
It does. It does.
It's something simple like when I go walking, I have this incredible affinity for trees, all kinds of trees. But I don't call them trees, and I don't know them by their botanical names, but I know them by their essence. And you just stop. And that could be another entry into the body, by the way. If you have a struggle to listen to you, learn to listen to something else first. And it might be a tree. You don't look at it, that's a tree. Don't take the label away from it and just look at the colours, the shapes, the texture, the leaves, the way it moves in the breeze. And if you get lost in that, there's something really beautiful about that. You start to really connect, and there's no words for that. And then you take that, once you've kind of been able to get a little way with that, then turn it on yourself and start doing that with yourself, with the body.
Yeah. I think kids can, we chatted about this, I think kids can do this stuff naturally, and it's programmed out, because I told you my son, he did all that. He was able to connect with so many things. I just couldn't believe it. So Gail turned around and said she's sometimes when she looks back, she feels like she always knew the answer. I don't know that what she wrote's disappeared and I can't scroll. But yeah, it's funny how we actually do have our own answers. No one else has.
Can I say something about that?
Yeah.
Can I just say something about that? Part of the becoming a conditioned person is exactly that, is that we leave ourselves and we go out there, and we're taught from a very, very, very early age to listen to authority. Listen to your parents, listen to your teachers, listen to your priest, listen to all and sundry out there. Also add into that trauma, our wounding, the negative experiences that we've had. We've all had them. It shuts us down even more. So we literally cut off from our ability to have connection to our own authority, to our own power, to our knowing, to our ability to perceive from the field. It just all gets shut down. So it's no wonder that people have such a hard time connecting back to it. But that comment that Gail made, I can relate to that a lot, and I think most people can, because one of the things that happens with us is that we are taught not to trust ourselves. No, religion is really bad for this. You can't trust anything that's good. There's nothing, because we're that old message that you're born in sin, you're born bad, our bad nature. Even if you didn't grow up in a religious household, that is so deeply embedded in the collective, in our cellular memory. You don't have to be brought up in a religious family to have been impacted by that, because it's multi-generational too. So that's part of the becoming a self-determined person too, is re-establishing our relationship with our own authority, with our intuition, with our knowing, with our voice, with our power. All of those things. It's a big journey, becoming a self-determined person, and it means
highly worth it, right?
Sorry?
Highly worth it, right?
Oh yeah. Look, even over the last 2 years since this all started, that we're all navigating at the moment, even in the last 2 years, I've grown in my own power even more. I mean, these external things that go on, these travesties, the craziness of it, whatever, they kind of serve a purpose in a really weird way, or not so weird. The way that life is designed is pretty incredible. But they kind of serve a purpose. They're opportunities for self-determination, for individuation. In these times, we have a choice. I think we're at an evolutionary cusp. And what are we going to choose? And are we going to learn to reconnect to our personal authority, to reconnect to our own wisdom, to our own ability to know, to power? Or are we going to stay small and frightened? That's the other thing that's part of one of the massive foundational things that first gets laid in a conditioned person, is the floor of fear. You're standing on it. You know, we're all standing on a level of fear as our foundation. It's massive in everybody, and whether we're consciously aware of it or not, fear is one of the biggest things that we have to deal with. It's one of the biggest things that we have to get over. And I've been going through my own level of working on my fear. And every fear that you not only face but overcome individuates you out. Even more, grows you.
Yeah, 100%.
Your self-esteem grows, your self-respect grows, your self-image, your value to yourself.
Yeah.
And you become bolder.
Yeah.
You get bolder and you think, whoa.
Yeah.
I'm feeling pretty good about myself.
It's a really cool feeling, isn't it?
I went from being at the beginning of this craziness 2 years ago, too scared to actually take a breath in the shopping centre with a mask on, looking at everybody like, I think about it now, and it's just crazy that I would take a breath, hold my breath, walk a few paces and try not to breathe because I was scared I was going to get
sick,
you know, the thing.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, you know, I don't wear anything on my face.
The fear.
It's a process.
Yeah. 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 I definitely think there's a lot of stripping down that's happening.
Yeah.
A lot of trauma that's happening, but a lot of stripping down that's happening as well. So I just wanted to acknowledge a couple of people, and we're going to have to wrap it up because we got majorly over time. I always go over time when I'm chatting with you. Stephanie just said, you aren't able to fix something that was never broken. It's all love and self-acceptance.
Yeah.
Love that. Yeah. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. And Louise said, I love trees. I often hug them. They give me so much. Yeah. My son, my youngest, he's nearly 14 and he's a tree hugger from way back. He learned that from such a young age.
My Celtic Irish background, but I'm a fish out of water in the city and around all of this
I'm really feeling you on that one. We've been
in the forest, so I'm happy.
Yeah, we're ready. we're ready as well. Too busy, too noisy. I'm going to have to wrap up tonight because I've gone majorly over time, and I could sit and chat with you for hours. But yeah, I appreciate everybody's time, and that they've all hopped on here and joined us tonight. So it's been really awesome. Lynette, if people want to find out a bit more about your services, is there something where they can find you? Is there like a link or something you can put underneath, or do they just good to message you on Facebook?
They can message me on Facebook. They can message me through my website, LynetteChannel.com.
Yep. Okay, let's get that in the comments. So we'll pop those details in the comments. Any of you guys that want to have a chat with Lynette and see if what she does would work with you, or you can go stalk her on her website, LynetteChannel.com, which is another great idea. I love stalking people on websites. Find out all sorts of stuff. If their website's up to date, of course. I really need to clean mine up. That's a whole nother thing. But it's been so great chatting with you, and I think that it's going to be an interesting year for us in WA this year. We're a bit behind the rest of the world, I believe, and so it's going to be a bit of shaking up. So I think we can probably have some more like interesting conversations. Maybe it's something we could do on a private Zoom and see who wants to join us and chat with us and have a bit more of a candid chat, and sort of see about how we can navigate these times and not lose who we are as people and our values and our
using it to our own advantage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I really, really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed sharing. Yeah.
Again, I've loved every minute of it, and thank you to everybody for being here.
I know. Thank you, ladies, and anybody that watches a replay, please hashtag replay. We really appreciate when you do that, because then we know you've watched it, and we can I can organise getting speakers in again if it's something that you're interested in. Also, if you have any questions for Lynette, please pop them in the comments, and I will make sure that she can answer them for you. Otherwise, you're welcome to send the messages directly to her. Otherwise, everybody have a great Tuesday night. And happy Australia Day for those of you who are celebrating tomorrow. Those of you who are not celebrating tomorrow, enjoy your time off, your day off. And yeah, good evening, good night. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Bye. Thanks, Lynette.
Bye.